Are we live? Yeah.
Hello.
Hi everyone, welcome to Scoot Friday. I'm Chris, joined here with our CTO, the man who needs no introduction, Mr. Pickett. How are you doing today, Elwa?
Doing well. It's Friday. Excited for the weekend. A lot of things are moving, and we just posted the Explore V2 video, and we're pretty happy with the reaction so far. Doing great.
Yeah. Is it what you expected, or what were you expecting on the V2 side?
No, I was expecting a lot worse, so I'm actually presently surprised with the positive feedback we're getting.
And when you
What
say
about you?
worst, like why worst? Well, when you were saying like what do you think was going to be like the biggest comments for most people that they dislike about the scooter?
I thought it was going to be a lot of people are still doubtful, rightfully so, of the side platforms, which is something we did address in the review. We're like, we designed enough scooter by now. We know when it's stable or not. So like, don't spend time saying this is not stable. Like, take it for granted that it's stable and give us feedback on the rest.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was nice. And now we added a rear suspension to the V2 of the Explorer, and people also love this one. It's a rubber suspension, so it's kind of a new for us. But yeah, so far the response has been great. There's not a lot of like feedback about things to change. Some people want bigger platform, but our platform is already so big compared to the other scooters that do this, like Tor, for example, that we tried together in San Francisco, or even so. Maybe we're gonna play where we place them on the frame, maybe a bit with the size, but that was pretty much the only feedback that we saw.
Yeah, I agree. I think, but it goes back to even us, right? When designing this, like I think the first design that you made with this was like 2 years ago, nearly. And I remember looking at it being like, this could be the best scooter ever, or the most uncomfortable scooter ever. Like, it takes such a big learning curve to say, is it stable? Is it not stable? And I feel that's the majority of people what they're thinking, right? The specs are fantastic, the look is fantastic, everything looks like the Pro. It's got the same components, but it's just. You need to try it, and then you're convinced. I think it's really, really important, and it's like a complete different feeling. It's not like riding a normal scooter, right? So I don't know. I think you did a very good job in the video of explaining it more and more, and people are like in the V2, the comments. We'll run through the comments, by the way. But I love how people are starting to understand it, and they're starting to trust us, saying, "Hey, if Apollo are launching this, or if Apollo are like working on this, Apollo knows that shit. They wouldn't launch something that's not stable at all, right?" So anyway,
Exactly.
cool. Okay, so today's focus is really going to be about the Explore V2. I'm going to go through a few questions that was submitted, which are relative to the Explore, and we're going to go through the video comments as well. But just like while you mentioned, do you want to just say, is there anything else you want to add on to what is the difference between an Explore V1 and the V2? You said the suspension, the deck plates. Is there anything else that was a bit different that's important, like the battery, etc.?
Yeah, well, we changed a lot of the aesthetic details, like the fender bracket or the shape of the swing arm or the shape of the neck and the transition with the stem. But the more practical thing, there's a rear suspension that you mentioned. A lot of people wanted to be able to lock their battery, so we added that. There's a lock now. The battery is also a lot bigger. It passed from 8 Ah to 15 Ah, so that's fantastic. We gain more acceleration because we have more capacity to discharge a battery. Obviously, more range. So that was great. We go up the front. This controller is now sticking out like the Pro, and we needed that. We have the same kickstand. The way that a kickstand is mounted to the scooter and the spring are interacting with it is completely different from the V1. Now it's the same as the Pro, which is fantastic. So far, we didn't see any problem with the Pro Beta. Out of 150 people, nobody reported a kickstand problem, which we never saw, right? Even for the Phantom, and there's always kickstand problems. So that's great. So we thought, well, might as well just copy it on this one. We added rubber bracket on the rubber like support on the kickstand, so it doesn't scrape your floor. And the headset is probably the other biggest change. The headset is not the same as Apollo Go. So a lot more compact. I think it flows better with the rest of the scooter too, instead of having the big block that we have on the Apollo Pro. So those would be the main change that we introduced.
Cool. And I guess just looking at, I mean, between the Pro and the Explore, what percentage of parts do these two scooters share? Do you know, like roughly?
Between the Pro and the Explore, not much. There's the front suspension, the folding mechanism, and the controller ish.
Okay.
But with other scooters, though, there's a lot because we have the same set as the Go. We have the same tires and motors as the Apollo City. So that's great. We have the same, all the brakes, obviously, the brake handle, that's the same across all our models. So that's also fantastic. The stem is the same as the Go, folding, obviously, same as all the other models. So the only part that is not shared is the frame. And like the main frame, obviously it looks so different, the kickstand. The rest is pretty much coming from the other models.
Yeah, and that's a big fast for us, right? It's like finding spare parts management is going to be so much easier because everything is on 4 different products, 4 different spare parts, and you'll have access to much more spare parts, which is great. Cool. So let's run through a few of these comments, and I'm just curious. We'll get your reaction as well to see how people say. People love the development process, longer foot pads. That's great. Larger battery. And again, like just for people who are tuning in, I guess, and are not sure, like it is a removable battery, which is really cool, which is amazing, right? It could be used for Uber Eats drivers, delivery drivers, everything else. So that was good feedback. Can't wait to get this model. Some people are very hyped. Yeah, I mean, we can jump on a few of these questions here as well that we have that people submitted before. So what's your favorite scooter in the lineup right now? Pro, Go, City, or Explore V2? Which one is yours?
I guess there's multiple ways of looking at this question. I would say my favorite one is obviously the most stable one. Like, I mean, failure-wise, because that's what I'm seeking in my job. So it would be the City 23. The City 23 it's ridiculous. There's like 5 warranty claim on the thousands units we sold. So City 23, I love this one. But what am I the most excited about? Probably the Apollo Go, because it's right around the corner. When we're going to go in China, we're going to see the Apollo Go in different colors, the box, and it looks so good. No, this morning I was trying the scooter on the rig, getting beat up. And you see the suspension just working so well like this. I'm so excited about that. And when you go to China and they present you the what you've been seeing in pictures and videos, you finally are able to touch it. It's another experience. So I'm really excited about the Go, and obviously the Pro. But I think the Go, we're going to be able to like touch a lot more people with the Apollo experience than the Pro. That's what I'm really
excited. I mean, just on the Go, there's actually a question in the comments here as well. Can you explain the kind of front suspension on the Go from Sina?
Yeah, sure. So the front suspension on the Go is very similar to the new suspension of the Segway G2 Max. Whatever. Is it G2 Max? G Max?
No, I think it's an F.
It's the same as G2 Max, but instead of being hydraulic, it's spring. Which is more similar to the F22 Pro of Segway. So what does it mean, right? Because you're not going to find this with Segway. They don't post anything online. You have the direction tube. Usually you have your steering here and you have a direction tube inside and your wheel is linked. So when I turn the steering, which is my hand, the wheel's going to turn with it. It's a straight pull. What we did for the Go is that this part is divided in 2, and the bottom one is slot into the top one, and there's a spring between the 2. So you still get the direction, everything is super stiff, but when you jump on it, this allows the main direction one to slip into the upper one. So you gain the suspension there. Usually those suspension are garbage. So what we did is the travel course is a lot longer than what you had on the ES2, for example, the Segway, that is very bad. We made it a lot longer, a stiffer spring, and we put rubber bushing on the top and bottom. So when you do bottom out on those suspension, you don't get the weird metal sound that we're getting on the Segway. Now it's like any other of our scooter. It's just whoop, whoop. You just feel that you reach the limit on the rubber. So it feels great. And when we're going to go to China, that's one thing we're going to try. I asked the team to prepare 3 different samples with 3 different stiffness of spring to really try to find a sweet spot, because you don't want one that is too loose that when you are on it, you're almost bottoming out already. You want something
Yeah.
that's going to give you enough travel, and that's a mistake we did on the Apollo Pro. The spring was a bit too not stiff enough, and that's why we increased it for the real production.
Yeah, and that's a reality. When it's, what is it, when you're going at faster speeds, you want a stiffer suspension. When you're going at lower speeds, you want a softer. So this should be relatively soft, but not too much.
Which one is your favorite
Speaking of,
scooter?
yeah.
You would say, Chris?
Honestly, my favorite scooter to ride right now is a Pro. Like the Pro is just, it's another level. Like, I don't know, you're high up on the ground, the 12-inch tires, like you have so much power, but it's so much control and it's so smooth. I love it. It is by far my favorite scooter. Like I don't know. I have to be a bit biased, but there's a scooter for everything, and I have one of each pretty much. But I use the City when I need to go through the city and like carry it or like fold it somewhere. The Explore is, we still just have prototypes, so it's still great. But exactly, like my favorite right now is the Pro, and the one I'm most excited about is the Go. I think the Go is where it's going to be everywhere next year, and it's an affordable dual motor entry level scooter that's perfect for the masses and for the Best Buys and all. I just think it's, you are making a scooter that's accessible to every consumer, which is so important. Like the Pro is too expensive for most consumers, right? So the Go is like quality at a great price point. So I'm really excited, and I can't believe we're going to be in China in a week and a half testing it and doing everything on it. It's going to be very exciting. But cool, let's go through a few more of these questions here. So Justin, hi Justin. Just to change things up, what do you guys like to do outside of work? What do you do outside of work? What lives at work? No, joking.
Well, yeah, we definitely work a lot. What do we do outside of work? I spend a lot of time with my girlfriend. I have a great girlfriend, so we spend a lot of time together. What do we do? Well, right now we are like dog sitting, I guess, a dog, if that's even the proper term. So that's keeping us busy. But what else? I go to the gym a lot, obviously. I go to the gym. I like cooking dessert, so I make like cookies, pies. I love those things, and to balance with the gym, yeah, right now I'm trying to look into maybe like doing a sport for the winter, because it's so hard to get outside here in Montreal during winter. You just want to die inside. So I've been looking at what's the name, Chris, of what Abe and Derek went to, the is it paddle?
Paddle, yeah, paddle tennis. It's like pickleball, but a mix with squash, so it's a little bit more intensive.
Yeah, we have like a court pretty close to from here, so I'll be looking into doing this in the winter. And in my basement, I have a couple of fun projects. Right now, I have a Pro V5 that I'm trying to put a different kind of controller inside, like the VSC, like the original Ludo, just for fun. So yeah, I'm doing that. It's not, I need to work on my work-life balance a bit better. Yeah. What about you, Chris?
Yeah. I run a lot. I do a lot of sports. Again, I think it's one of those things that some people use therapy or different types of ways to relieve their stress. Me, it's through sports and running. So I did a half marathon 2 weeks ago. I play a lot of golf. I play a lot of rugby. And I'm always active doing something else. I think that's my stress release. And outside of that, I have a golden retriever with my girlfriend. He's a big boy. A lot of energy.
Doesn't look very happy on that picture.
No, he's posing, but he's the happiest dog in the world, and that's my life pretty much. Yeah, work and then sports. But yeah, I'm excited to go a little bit. I'm excited for China. I'm excited for so many different things coming up, and seeing family and
traveling too, right? We do travel quite a bit for work or outside of work, but that's keeping us busy, both of us.
Yeah, I know. It's like, and 2 weeks in China, 2-3 weeks in China probably takes 6 months of your life health off, because you're working 14-15 hours. You're in the factory on the floor. You're changing everything. You're giving feedback,
and then you're out. The KTM.
So yeah, that's it, Justin. That's a little bit of our outside life. Not super exciting, but yeah. Eric, any possibilities of a trade-in program? Recently purchased a City Jewel, but would like to go for the Explore after seeing the upgrade videos. Eric, we're working on it. Again, we'd love to have a trade-in program. It's just the logistics behind it, and operations need to be flawless in terms of recycling, in terms of reusing different parts and batteries and components. But as we move to these scooters, in the next lineup next year, like I was saying, there's a lot of components that are similar. So it allows us to have a trade-in program that's much more efficient. Then we can then use the tires of your city to put on the Explorer, etc. Like different things like that. I would say hopefully mid to end of next year is when we will launch something. But again, the City Draw 23 is amazing. So enjoy it as you can. Don't get FOMO. I always have that as well.
For me, because I see the trade-in the same as like when you go to like a GameStop, for example, and they give you $5 for a $80 game that you just purchased.
Yeah.
You know, like for their business model to work, they need to like buy back your games so cheaply. And Apollo, like even if we have a trade-in, you know, you're always going to be so much better just selling it on your own on like Facebook Market or whatever. And the Apollo, they don't lose value a lot because we offer so much upgrade kit for the future. So people are more compelled to buy a used model or older model compared to the competitor. So if I was you, Eric, I would ride the crap out of my city this year, clean it, and then just resell it on Facebook. And in our community on Facebook, the Apollo community, you see people selling their scooter every day, and they sell it on the spot for a lot more money than what Apollo would be able to offer you. So I think that's how I would go about it, instead of waiting for us to release a program when you can sell it literally in a day on Facebook.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think it's a bit more work for sure, but you'll get a much higher value than trading it in. Dave, the Phantom seems to be between a City Pro and a Pro, but it's not your new gray design direction Apollo has gone. Will you be developing a scooter in the mid-range that follows the aesthetic? Oh, you want to take it or?
Yeah, what about you? Take it first.
yeah, sure. Again, so the Phantom, we just launched V3. We're looking at some potential upgrades to that, but for the time being, the focus is really on the City, the Pro, the Explorer, and the Go. So we're just going to keep it on those for now. Again, it's a different factory, but we will still support the Phantom. And right now it's going well, so I don't see any need for upgrades or anything crazy. So we'll see on that front. So that's that. And then we have a few more questions that were submitted afterwards. Will the Explorer replace the Phantom? Not really. I think the Explorer it's a different form factor and different use case. It's again, I think it could be commuters. It's relatively sleek, portable. A different use case. Swappable batteries versus a Phantom. I would say is like more off road. You have quadruple suspension. You have you still have 10-inch tires, but it's you're looking for something more stable. You wouldn't take an Explorer off road or on trails, really. In my opinion, I don't know if you have anything to add.
The Explorer is a fancy luxury commuter. It's like that's what it is. No, I don't think I would take it off road for fun, obviously, but it's nothing like the Phantom. The Phantom, you're gonna beat it and everything. Like the Explorer, it's so clean. You're gonna give it some down the road with it.
Yeah, exactly. I like that. Can you make it lighter, the Explorer?
That's something we've been trying for a long time. It was supposed to be even heavier. I don't think so because every time we design a model, and that's why our models are so heavy. Like I'm always the first thing I think when I receive a prototype is it strong enough, like that I have confidence enough that I would put my girlfriend or my mom on it. Like that's. If I wouldn't, then they never ride it, and we never released the scooter. And for the Explorer to be, because the Explorer has a big ass hole in the middle when you remove the battery, right? It's super thin, the sides. For the Explorer to be as strong as I want it to be, for me to answer the two questions I just asked, that it needs to have the weight that it has. And we are not designing like lightweight and cheap Xiaomis. We are designing vehicle grade scooter. And the vehicle grade comes with a weight, unfortunately. But between being difficult to carry upstairs or snapping in half, I'm gonna take the being difficult to carry upstairs.
Yeah, exactly, and that's the reality. Safety is always number one, and then again, depends on your perception of what light is. That's why we're doing this whole swappable battery, so that you could potentially leave it outside, tie it up, take the battery out, and charge it inside. Again, we know whenever we ask customers feedback, they want the lightest scooter with the highest top speed at the cheapest price. So we're trying to create a range that if you're looking for portability and something that's light, the Apollo Go will be for you. If you're looking for something that's really smooth and great riding experience, it'll be the Explorer and the Pro. will it ship with the crazy torque it currently has?
I don't know. You know, we are having a lot of internal debate within Apollo because of that. For me, I prefer having a top speed that is capped. Like we always said, we're never going to compete on top speed because that's just not what we are aiming for. But I do like having crazy acceleration to get ahead of cars, and it's just fun. It's just fun to be able, like with a Tesla, to accelerate from 0 to 100 in 1.9 seconds. You know, like if you can do it, why not? But yeah, I don't know. Maybe I think it's gonna be. Let's say we do release the Explorer and we do keep that, like those crazy specs, which is 52 volt for that scooter. I think I would keep that acceleration for Ludo that is a bit more complex to unlock rather than just clicking on the buttons with a sequence, so people understand what they're getting themselves into, because that thing is pushing like crazy. And you do definitely feel it more, you know, when you accelerate and your feet are like this, because you cannot block the acceleration with your weight on like the footrest. So it's something to consider as well. And all the other scooters that are built like that, they're 36 volt single motor, no suspension. I'm not saying this is the way to go. I think this is quite trash, the one we tried. But you know, at the same time, we're not unrealistic. You know, of course, like having kick like this and that stand is not. Usually, you don't do a sport car like this, a sport scooter. So. To be determined. Maybe in the comment, leave would you ever rather have something that you have the choice, you know? And that I'm curious to know what you think, Chris, because that's my opinion. Is, well, people buy a 2,500 scooter or whatever the price is going to end up being, like they can choose, you know, the acceleration they want. If they want something crazy that it's hurting their back, it's their choice, you know. But yeah.
I know it comes back to liability. Well, is it a liability question? I don't know. It's also a usage question. Like you said, we have to make it a little bit harder, and like we need to make sure you're aware of what you're sort of getting yourself into when you click that button. That's one. And then number two is, like, the reality is we have the Pro, we have access to all these data of all the scooters, and on average people are using it for like 35 kilometers an hour, and they only hit the top speed. It's like 1% of people hit the top speed on every ride. It's like, it's ridiculous. Like, I know it's nice to have and it's exciting, but is it really what you're looking for?
Data that we're missing is acceleration, right? We know the top speed, but what about acceleration? How many times people are full throttle and, you know, and they just let it go at 50 instead of 65? But yeah, you're right. People don't use the full battery.
Like, I agree, when you're like overtaking a car, if you're going on the road and you need it, it's actually safer to have that acceleration. But I think what you should be working on L1 next is, like, once you click on that Ludo mode, you know, this Explore goes down, the suspension gets a bit harder, the airbag opens up, you know, you get a full spin.
And no bargages.
The wings come out. But yeah, I think, guys, long story short on that one is, like, I think we will make it accessible, but it's like, it's one of those things that you're gonna have to go through and make sure you click and you understand the terms and conditions and the liability side of it, because we still have to be safe. Why is the acceleration on the Explore more than on the Pro?
It's the same controller, but you have 10-inch tires. So because you have a smaller tire, they rotate on themselves faster. So you have, usually that equals to more acceleration, but lower top speed. So that's it. And they're both 52 volt with the same discharge. So that's the same controller pretty much.
Yeah. And then how long have you been working on it? Like we said, 2 years. If I have a belly, can I ride it? The new deck seems cramped.
It's going to be, when you're going to regen, that's the other thing with that Explorer, the regen is, for some reason, I'm not sure what happened, but it's way too strong. It's strong. You're going to lock the wheel. So every time you brake, like I said, I'm not, you know, maybe a little bit overweight, but not that much. And I'm hitting the stem, the headset. So one thing that we're going to do, like I mentioned, is move back the platform. So that's going to free a little bit of space, but you know, is your belly this, or your men pregnant? I don't know. So you just that's a good question. Maybe that should be one of the stats that we post when you purchase a scooter to see if you have enough clearance.
Yeah, no, it's a great question, and I think maybe the stem is a little bit too back. Or like you said, we'll keep all of this when we're doing the testing phase. It's really important for us. So, but thanks for the question, the feedback. A bit more here on the YouTube side. Kevin, will they have modification for Polo Pro in 2024?
You know, we're moving away from drastically changing all our models, and people already see it from the Air 22 to 23, and same thing for the City. It's little improvement because we think we cracked the the foundation of it. But every production that we do, there's always a little something better every time. So will there be some modification? Absolutely. There's always modification. Would it be like something crazy, like having 4 spring for the suspension? No, it's going to stay the same foundation. And, we are changing how we are doing the QC on it, like the torque of certain screws, like the direction screw to like, so you are like super stable at high speed, things like this that are not noticeable when you look at it from the outside. But inside and how it's assembled, that's when you notice it. So some modification, but nothing major. And we're producing the Pro when we go in China in 2 weeks, and it's going to be delivered in late December, early Jan, which is 2024. So that's the 2024 version, basically, of the Pro, the one that you saw in the videos.
And that's it, Kevin. I don't know if you followed the whole process, but again, we've launched it. We've been working on the scooter for probably 2 years. We did a full beta tester program that's literally finished now, and got all the feedback. So everything that we've done in terms of testing has been done, and the scooter should be at 99.9%. And then there's going to be tiny little modifications that we're going to get next year when we sort of see a bit more improvements, etc. But we've done all the testing, and there shouldn't be any major, definitely modifications, but maybe just accessories or modifications you can do it yourself as well, which could be interesting. Duncan, how will suspension on Explore compared to the City? Equal, better, or worse?
So suspension at the back is rubber. It's the first rubber one we made. So there's definitely things I need to change. The one on the City feels better because you have 2 spring at the back. It's more it's more bouncy, more responsive. So you have a total of 3 spring. Even if the front one is hydraulic, the one on the City do feel better at the moment. It's just better to have.
I don't know if I'd want the City suspension on the acceleration of that Explore there. It's like you'd be bouncing quite a lot now.
And that's one thing that people mention about the Pro. They love the rubber suspension at the back because when you accelerate, there's less sag. Like if you accelerate on the Ghost, for example, it's like this. You're like oh. Compared to the Pro, it's like you're like locked in place. It's the same thing with the Explore. But I would have put spring 100%, and maybe adjustable one, like the front, so you can decide the amount of bounciness. But it's a form factor. I can't put any spring there. That's the reason why it's like this. So
sorry, and that's it. Even with the Pro, that's the feedback we got. It's like some people are saying, the back suspension is not comfortable when they're riding on huge off road. But then the people who are riding on the road will be like, the suspension's perfect, it's stable. So you're like, what is the person going to use this scooter mostly for? It's probably not off road. It'd be nice to use it off road sometimes, but that's why you have the front suspension. But yeah,
there's a great video from Electric Kicks. I think that they go off road like crazy with the Pro, right?
No, Riding Glide.
Riding Glide. Okay, go check that video to have an idea too of how the Pro handle off road. It's even with the rear rubber, it's pretty good.
Yeah, they really abuse it and test it, which is great. Phantom new stem, Roberto. I don't know what you mean by that, but no, we're not launching a new stem on the Phantom.
No, there's no new stem. We changed some direction parts in the coming productions, but the stem is the same.
Yeah. Justin, so last 2 questions before we go. Who do you feel are the biggest competitors, and what do you think they do better or worse than the Polo? We're going to go first on this one.
The 2 biggest competitor. I think Apollo is quite unique, right? Because I don't know other companies that are doing their own lineup like we are doing at our size. If you compare it to Dualtron or whatever, they've been in business for 20 years, and it's the factory direct to customer, right? We partner with a factory. We have our own floor, and we take care of. We do B2B, which is business to business, and B2C. So our business model is very different. But just in terms of scooter, I think we compare ourselves always to Segway and NIU. Those are the big ones. And NIU is worth $350 million, and Segway is $1.5 billion. So it's something that we are very proud of, that we can compare ourselves to them, and they have 250 engineers there. It's insane. So for me, that's what I would compare myself to. But in terms of in terms of just how reliable the scooter are, it's them. But in terms of design, it's a smaller company that I compare myself to. It's like Bow scooter or Tor scooter, that both of them never delivered a single scooter, but their design is very nice. So What about you, Chris?
That's also the reality of it. So the design is very nice, but the reality is the design is so nice because it can't be mass produced at a certain points, right? So it's like concept cars. I love concept cars, but the reality is they never come out because they can't be mass produced. I feel like our competitors always change, and it's quite funny. Like when we started the company, you remember it was a store literally down the street, and that was our competitor. And then as we killed them, it was the guys in Vancouver, and then once we killed them, it was the guys in the US for Freeride, and then once you keep going, now I would say our competitor is probably Segway, just because of that distribution. But I still think we beat them in terms of innovation, in terms of marketing, in terms of branding and what we're doing. They still do better engine. Sorry? Customer service, operation service. But they still will beat us in sort of, engineering and hardware, because the reality is, like you said, they have 100 engineers. But for now, right? They beat us for now. And I think the growth that we've had in the last 3 years is just showing that we're coming. And I'm sure we'll kill them very soon as well. So
and give us a $1.5 billion, and I guarantee you.
Yeah, and the last one from Justin: is there any considerations to aerodynamics in your designs, especially for your faster scooters?
Absolutely zero consideration for aerodynamic. It's not something we consider, to be honest.
Yeah.
That's not an, if you were making racing scooter, like the new league that is starting in Dubai, or even the ESI, right? Then I would care. But now it's like, I can be wearing a big winter jacket, like I couldn't be more square, and you still get the crazy acceleration. And we designed our battery in consequence of like having enough to compensate for that. For the Pro, you have like 100 kilometers of range. Even for the new city, it's a 20Ah battery, 48 volts. So yeah, I think it makes up for this. But no, to be honest, we don't. I think by default, a lot of our models are aerodynamic. Like if you look at the Pro, how the frame is made. It could be something that you look and you're like, okay, they thought about it, but we didn't.
That's it. We're not really trying to optimize for speed or energy usage. Like the average trip on our scooters is like 5-6 kilometers, and your battery can go up to 50 kilometers. So like, if we were really trying to get the lightest, best scooter with every single gram or every single wind resistance, we would. But maybe that's something we should be looking into in the future, I guess, as we go. Okay, guys, I think that's pretty much it. But I can see your question here. What can you all say about the iffy Reddit reviewers? I don't know what you mean too much about the Reddit reviewers. I know there's a lot of Reddit is like a very open channel, and we have a lot of love, we have a lot of hate, and we try and address it as much as possible. The reality is the love. Whenever someone posts a great comment, it's like 3 likes. If someone posts one bad comment, it's got 100 likes. We take it all super seriously and reply to the customer straight away, and we try as much as we can. Our CSAT scores right now in terms of customer service is 96, 97%, meaning yes, we do a great job, but the remaining 3-4%, we don't do a good enough job, and we're always working on that. So Reddit, we're reviewing it every day. We're trying to make sure everyone's heard and taken care of, and we're trying to improve as a business. So if you have anything else you want to sort of take on that, I'm happy to talk online or offline with that. But yeah, cool, everyone. Well, thank you again for joining, and for all the questions and comments. Really appreciate all of it, and have a lovely weekend. And we'll be back next week before we go to China. And yeah, I'm excited to show all you guys what Aloha and the team have been working on in China. It's going to be some really cool insights. But yeah, Aloha, thanks again for joining as well. And we'll talk to you soon.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.